Okay, so hello and welcome to my first ever recorded Let's Play. This is something that class gave me an excuse to do, but I've been looking forward to doing for a long time. So I'm anxious about this, but also quite excited. So I guess let's just dive right into this. It's for our week 2 assignment where we took a look at the Atari 2600 library. And because my name is Seamus Jackson, not sure if I said that yet, uh, I chose Sky-jinks. It was either this or Space Jockey, and this, just to put it plainly, looked much more interesting to me than Space Jockey. So, Sky-jinks. It's a vertically scrolling air racing video game. It was developed and published for the Atari 2600 by Activision in 1982. It was designed and developed by Bob Whitehead, who wrote two of the nine Atari Video Computer System launch titles, Blackjack and Starship. Whitehead worked for Atari in the late 1970s, where he and his colleagues David Crane, Larry Kaplan, and Alan Miller became known as the Gang of Four. They were a group of developers who felt inadequately compensated when taken into account that their collective work was responsible for 60% of Atari's profits from VCS cartridge sales. They were met with a decline for more recognition and fair compensation by upper management, so the Gang of Four left Atari to form their own business, understandably so, which became Activision, the first third-party game developer in October 1979. Skyjinx, I guess we could just dive into the gameplay right about now. It's apparently quite similar to the 1980 Atari 2600 release Skiing. Both games were developed by Bob Whitehead and have prominent gameplay similarities in the form of vertical scrolling, obstacles to avoid, and a time constraint. But skiing, much like real life skiing, you often are going through gates, but in Skyjinx, you're going around pylons. It's basically the same goal, but a main difference in both games again is with the time constraint in skiing, it's more like you're supposed to do it as fast as you can. But in Skyjinx, there's kind of an actual time constraint where if you lose too much speed or take too long, your plane will just stop. So I guess we could just dive into this. I'll start playing here. A fun fact about Skyjinx is in the mid 1980s, social psychologist Roy Baumeister apparently used it in a study for his research into performance anxiety. Funnily enough, I definitely get that. So, as you can see, the goal of not hitting obstacles and maintaining as much speed as possible isn't always my strong suit, especially while I'm doing something as performative as playing the game for viewers. Uh, Something I really can appreciate about Skyjinx specifically is the attention to detail in the sprites for the player plane, the trees, the hot air balloons, and even the pylons. But even the attention to detail when it comes to the shadows for all of the sprites. I'm not sure you can come to expect that from other Atari 2600 games, though I don't have a very good breadth of knowledge when it comes to the Atari library. This is arguably my first sit down with an Atari game, which again also made this all the more exciting to sit down and record. Um, Arguably, my only complaints are probably some of the most obvious ones that you may have yourself just watching me play this, which come in the form of the constant droning that comes from flying your plane. You have the options control-wise of strafing with the directional keys, as well as accelerating and decelerating with the action button, in my case, a spacebar. But I kind of wish that the droning would only be so dramatic if I was using the acceleration. Uh, it's constant. It's constant whether you're accelerating or not. So it's just something that I wonder if I can if I can actually complain about it, or if it's just a nitpick that comes with the technological constraints of the time. Additionally, another nitpick that's probably another technological constraint is the controls just feel pretty awkward. Like the plane is quite clunky to move around, at least at the speed you wish. You can speed up like I showed, but if anything, it usually just makes it much harder. Uh, Again, I feel it's another technological constraint at the time, so I can't really harp on it too much for that. Another thing that I can really appreciate about Sky-jinks is there's apparently four courses in the repertoire that you can play on, in addition to a fifth pseudo randomly generated course called Thompson Turney. I haven't found as of yet how to access the other maps. I'd really love to, so if anyone that's watching this happens to know for some reason, feel free to comment below, and maybe I'll come back and revisit this. Uh, I'd say that's about everything I have to say about Sky-jinks, at least up until this point. So it was a pleasure recording this, and it was a pleasure playing. I hope it was nearly as entertaining for you guys as it was for me. Thank you so much for watching, and have a good rest of your day.